Hello, one and all. I hope I'm audible to all of you. So, guys, this is the first lecture of mine based on the Python OOPS concept. In the regular lectures of the class, we have already done up to the concept of sets and dictionaries, lists, as well as tuples inside the classroom, and most of us have gone through the lab works of based on those particular data types. So we have also started the concept of uh, OOPS programming in the class, but unfortunately the strength was very less inside the classroom. So I am again introducing here the Python OOPS concept. It is a very small video which I am preparing for you all. So let us understand the concept of Python OOPS concept. And as we go through it, what I'm really finding it out, or I'm planning to do that we go concept by concept, and based on those concepts, every day I'll be giving you few questions and complete it. If you face any problem, then ping me on WhatsApp on the required classroom timings of yours. The schedule has already been shared with you by Professor Ashima. And rather than this, you have to concentrate on doing a few more things, which we will discuss later. So first of all, as an experiment, let's begin with the Python OOPS concept. So what exactly the OOPS concepts are in any programming? First of all, let's understand those. Then we move towards that what exactly the Python wants to speak up in the concepts of OOPS. Right? So what exactly the OOPS are? OOPS are object-oriented programming. If you put C, then it becomes concepts. So S is there, so it becomes object-oriented programming systems sort of thing. So, like any other general purpose language, which we have already seen in case of C++, Java, and any other thing, they all are having a beautiful concept of object oriented, right? So, Python has also adapted maturely this concept of object orientation with its beginning. And Python is again the object oriented programming language. It helps in creating application through the object orientation concept. So it becomes very easy in Python also to create any class. And if you are having class, then objects are mandatory things. If you are having objects, then we can do the real-time operations on the classes. Further moving ahead from this particular slide, let's see what happens. What are the contents in object-oriented programming? So we have the concept of object. You might have already learned the concept of object. Then we have the concept of classes. We see everything in a detail, a little bit detail. So I'm just discussing it, what exactly the point was things are available in object orientation programming. And then we discuss it step by step. So we do have objects like any other C, C++, Java, not in C, sorry. Then class concept we have, method we have, inheritance. Yes, we are taking the properties from one class to another class, and we can write the concept of code reusability. We do have the polymorphism. Polymorphism means poly means many, morphism means shape. So again, it's a beautiful concept. You can see it. Then we again have a concept of data abstraction and encapsulation. We cannot get the concept of encapsulation without data abstraction. And we further see it that how this works. Yes, create a class, we keep our data private, not be accessed by any other else. So this is what the you know um, sum up consideration of data abstraction and encapsulation. So let's begin step by step what exactly these programming approaches are. The first is the object. Object, prior to that, defining object or class, let us see what exactly the class is also saying. Class is what? Basically the collection of objects, and you require it to deal with the real life situation. So a class is basically a blueprint from which you, in this particular blueprint, you define everything, right? And object is a physical life quantity, quality thing, through which you can achieve the targets. Say for example, again I'm moving back to the class. If you wish to design a car, right? So you are having a blueprint of a car, that what exactly the car is having. A car is having brake, a car is having steering wheel, a car is having its structure, and four wheels concept is there in if you talk about the concept of car. Then we have brakes, definitely accelerator to speed it up, then accelerator, brake, and clutch if you wish to make changes in the movement of car, etc. etc. So defining those things and imagining extra feature if you wish to require to put in a car, that except from this normal things, what I really want in car, can have these concepts. Then after this all, you require, you don't have a feel if you are working only in a class, that how the class is being working. To have that feel, you need to create an object, right? So if you talk about object, then after designing that particular model according to your needs, that this is the place the steering wheel should be there, nearby the steering wheel we should have the uh, control of brakes, accelerator, and clutches. So when you drive a car, you have a feel. So basically, you are moving by an object in that, right? So the class is a blueprint, and object is the feel of that particular blueprint. So this is how I define the class and object, right? So here I have been given an example that if you have an employee class, then it should have the attribute, methods, etc., etc. Yes, in a car also we do have the similar kind of things. Everything is having its own work. Like brake, if you are enforcing the things, then it is taking the control of entire car and stopping it immediately with your priority basis, right? So this is how the class and the objects have been defined. This is where the syntax of class is. Like a normal programming, we define it by the class syntax, keyword class, and the name of the class, and then few statements. If you do not wish to declare that class then and there, then you can simply put a pass statement here and can declare it later. Now, if we talk about class and object, we further discuss it later in a deep ways with proper examples of Python programming. Now we are moving towards the another feature of OOPS programming, that is the method. Method again is a function that is associated with an object, right? A Python method is not unique to class instances. An object can have methods, various different kinds of methods we can see. Another concept of OOPS is inheritance. Inheritance is one of the most important aspect of object orientation because it provides the concept of code reusability, right? Like of how a child is acquiring the quality of its father, right? So he gets all the old features or the parent features from its inherited person and can have its in own new features and can behave entirely new into the real world, right? So this is what the concept of inheritance. This is what the concept of inheritance, right? So forget again discuss it further. So let's move ahead to the concept of polymorphism. Morphism means various shapes. Poly means many shape, right? So object orientation concept hugely supports the concept of polymorphism. We can understand this thing by polymorphism concept that a single task can be achieved in different ways, right? Different ways. Like you do have a class named animal, but we also know that how an animal speaks. If we talk about a cat and a dog, we always know how a cat speaks and a dog speaks. Unfortunately, we do not understand the both ways they speak to us, but yes, we do understand that they both speak. So, speaking of cat and dog is a kind of morphism, polymorphism. Yes, we do not understand, so we have to understand it by applying different kinds of examples. So, this concept is known as polymorphism. We do have a concept of encapsulation. Encapsulation is restricting us to access anything randomly. It is wrapping up entire data together. and provides you the information that can leak accidentally. So it's actually protecting our data from unfortunate leaking of some information. So this is what the basic emphasis provided on the encapsulation. Now we do have a concept of data abstraction. Sometimes they used as synonyms, but we need to understand that data abstraction can be achieved through encapsulation, right? You need to hide your data and can call your entire data as a one. Say, for example, in Java, we do have class. In the class, we assign our data in the terms of private, protected, and public. But to access that particular information of data for a class, we always need to create an object. So object, with the help of object, you cannot move inside the details of a class. You need some level of protection to access any member of that particular class, right? So this is how the data abstraction concept is there. Now, if we go through the object orientation and procedure orientation programming, so there are huge differences in between those things. So, object oriented programming uses a problem solving approach and used computation, which is done entirely by the objects. Procedural programming language does not have any of this concept. It needs to work on based on step by step listing. It makes development very easier on object orientation programming. In procedural programming, since you need to write code line by line by line by line, it is not easy to maintain at all. Object orientation programming provides the layer of security since it has the concept of data hiding. We all know through the encapsulation and data abstraction. Procedural languages are hard to do such kind of things, and also they are less secure because you do not have the concept of data binding. The few examples of object orientation programming languages are C++, Java, .NET, and Python. For the procedure oriented programming language, we have the concept of various different programming languages that is based on that are C, Fortran, and Pascal, VB, etc. So, guys, this was a small introduction of any object oriented programming language. We see later a little by little more deep dug into these particular concepts, and we see that how these things works entirely, like how the classes are different in Python from the Java concept, how the objects are different, what are the constructors in this particular object orientation of Python, and any other compared to any other language. So let's call it a day for today's lecture. The lecture is recorded and will be shared to you via embedded link, which I'll be sharing with the networking department. Go through it. If you have any problem in doing or understanding this concept, do ping me on WhatsApp. But yes, according to the schedule which has been provided to you by Professor Ashima, we can discuss and share the concepts. Every day I'm planning to give you two problems based on object orientation topic which we are discussing on that day. You solve it, and then within coming few days we'll do more and more video things. If you wish, we can even design an interactive lecture via Zoom or any other mode of communication. So let's see how the things being done. Let's call it a day. Thank you so much, guys.